what are the markets, what is the demand, and, what I did today that worked might not work even next week.
Oh, that's so true. It is true. We gotta be we gotta pay attention. So as I'm thinking about this, I was reading in this. I'm reading in this article. I apologize. I had to restart the live stream. It wasn't, for some reason, it dropped off. Having some trouble today with that. But I was reading, and this is funny because the name of this blog or article site is called Dumb Little Man Tips for Life. But it's basically 5 helpful tips for adjusting to change. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that he is saying here is that change can be difficult. Okay, there's four primary reasons that he gives that so many of us have a problem making these changes. It's not popular. We resist it because sometimes we have this mentality that, there's some tension or, behind it. The fear of the unknown, that's a really big one. We resist what we can't calculate or discern for the outcome. And this is where you and I would say, well, this is where, even more importantly, we need that faith aspect. We need to be connected to
you need
Holy
faith,
Spirit.
and you continually need to upgrade your learning. You and I are on the same page. We listen every day. Like I mentioned yesterday, I watch this podcast and I read and research and do those things every day. I'm probably more active learning now than when I was 4 years in college.
Right.
Then you learn to get through and pass the course. Now I learn because I know the benefits of it and how it's going to help me in my day-to-day situation. Not only that, but as someone who's committed to adding value to other people and helping them grow, the more I learn, the more I can pass on. So
Sure.
that's the key.
Yeah,
Because Harvard Business Review, I'm going to just read.
Well,
from
do you
this.
want me to finish the four reasons? One was that change is not popular. The other one's the fear of the unknown. And then there's the leaving our comfort zone.
That's a big one.
We
Is
get
our
scared to leave
comfort zone.
Yeah, to leave that. And then the last one was uncertainty. Uncertainty, just basic uncertainty.
But I was going to say, along with those reasons that you're quoting, what I was going to mention with this is Harvard Business Review. They said the lessons learned in school can be outdated even before the student loan is paid off. I mentioned that earlier. It says in 4 years you'll have to relearn 30% of your job. So it's not a matter of, do I get out of my comfort zone? It's like, if you don't get out of your comfort zone, you're going to be back flipping burgers at Burger King.
And sometimes, especially when you don't work for yourself, I don't know. They're both different. When you work for somebody else, it's basically their time frame, their clock. When you work for yourself, now you have to have extraordinary discipline, self-discipline, to be able to do that type of thing.
Yep.
So it's very different.
Yeah, and it's important to. A lot of times we get stuck in the past of what we've learned in the past. It's important to hold on to that, but build on it.
Absolutely.
You can't stay stuck there.
That's true. All right, well, we got to take a short break. We'll be back right after this brief message. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Lori Lynn Greene, advancement strategist and owner of alphaadvancementstrategies.com. I've been very successful at helping people overcome stressful situations to get immediate results in their personal and professional lives. At Alpha Advancement Strategies, we provide a non-judgmental and supportive environment, empowering clients to focus more on reaching their goals. You can find us on the web at alphaadvancementstrategies.com or call us at 603-860-9260. Alpha Advancement Strategies is where you invest in yourself.
CrossNet Inc. offers computer and IT services for commercial clients as well as local personal users. We create tailor-made plans for your business's unique needs, from computer repairs to managing networks, servers, and desktops. CrossNet Inc. offers managed services, data backups, virus protection, web filtering, and more. For more information, go to crossnetinc.com or call for your personalized IT services today at 603-589-2520. CrossNet Inc. IT services that keep your business running when you're on the run.
Hi, I'm Marc Major, certified coach and speaker. Join me Wednesdays at 9 a.m. for It's a Wonderful Life, all about leadership development and living a positive lifestyle. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Greene.
Hi, I'm Jen Lieber, anchor of the Recovery Now segments. Join me Tuesdays at 9 a.m. where I offer support to families struggling with addiction. Hear personal stories, learn the signs of addiction, and get help for your loved ones. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Greene.
Welcome back to In It Together in the midst of It's a Wonderful Life on this very inclement day. And we apologize to those Facebook live streamers. Been having some difficulty keeping the live stream up. It's been dropping out, which means there's not a lot of interaction this morning, unfortunately. But later on, if you get to watch, this is in 2 parts, so it'll say part 1, part 2. Until it stops altogether here.
Yeah, so we were talking about, valuing what you did yesterday, but also looking forward and not holding on to that. A great quote, Babe Ruth, who was obviously, everybody knows Babe Ruth back in the day. He said, yesterday's home run won't win today's game. Now think about that.
Yeah,
isn't that profound, right? It's like, so what you did yesterday, I know my friend John Maxwell always says, yesterday ended at midnight. What are you going to do today?
Yep.
So you can't hang back on your laurels. You have to look, you have to look forward, look at the trends, see what's going on, and, work toward tomorrow. And so what does that take? It's continually learning. Sometimes you have to unlearn things too, because
that's a really
it's
good
like,
point.
oh my God, it's like, yeah, this was great, but now if I work it and do it this way, it's actually a detriment to my business.
Right. Well, because you got to roll with the times, like you said. This is all about adjusting and adapting to the changes of circumstances, but doing it rapidly.
Yeah. John calls it a leader shift. In fact, I've taken a lot of information from this new book he's got out called Leader Shift. But, he talks about, learning, unlearning, and then having to relearn. If you're not keeping up with industry and trends and things that are going on, you're going to fall and the thing nowadays, I can remember back, my business career started in 79, and back then, over 4 or 5 years, things changed, but not that much. It was fairly easy to keep up with things. But everything is so rapid now that, if you're not every day have your head in the game and seeing what's changing and seeing what you need to do, not only as the leader, but what you have to impart to your team for everybody to move forward together, it's a losing battle. And that's what I think, coaching is so valuable because a lot of times, and I know this happens when you're coaching people as well, Lori, you see things that maybe somebody, say a business person, sometimes when you're in the middle of the battle, you can't see the whole battlefield. You need somebody with a bird's eye view to see what's going on, and that's what a coach can do.
Yeah, well, and it's hard, too, especially when you're emotionally involved in a situation. It's very hard to step back and be objective. And so there's a lot of reasons for coaching. One is to get ourselves out of that emotional state so that we can make better decisions. Another one is to get another perspective or point of view, or to even discover what we already have in us that has been clouded up by, like we talk about, all these changes that are rapidly happening in our lives. And this is why it's a daily thing where you need to be paying attention and not, kind of procrastinating. We talk about all those little things, but really staying on top of things because, a lot of time when you have the mentality of, well, I'll catch up with that later because I just want to goof off or I just want to do this instead. It's really important to have our priorities in order.
Yeah, it has to be 100% every day. I can remember reading, one of my favorite people to read was, and I've mentioned him before on the air, is John Wooden, who was the coach of UCLA for several years back in the 60s, maybe early 70s. I mean, they won like 10 championships in 13 years or something, like some crazy number. But he always used to tell his players, you can't do 70% today and expect that you're going to do 130% tomorrow. You can only give 100%. So whatever you don't do today, you're never going to catch up on.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important lesson for leaders to look, and especially if you're running an organization, you can't afford to not keep up with it every day.
Yeah, I actually I did a show this year. I'm trying to remember. Today, I did it on December 3rd, and it talked about today's investments are tomorrow's rewards.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so true because it's kind of like this. We want to eat tomorrow, so we work today.
Right.
Or we want to be able to spend time with somebody tomorrow, so we want to make that investment. If you're dating somebody or whatever, well, you want to be talking to them, call them on the phone, talk to them or whatever, and then maybe they'll go out with you.
Right.
You don't just go in for the kill.
Yeah, I mean, what you put your time in, what you invest your time into, is what's going to grow. We always talk about the 5 areas. And in this particular area, we're talking about, business. You need to invest that time every day. And I'll be honest, even on, for myself, there's no weekends. If I need to do something and it's Saturday or Sunday, I mean, it gets done. And because if I sit there and say, well, it's Saturday, it's Sunday, I'm not going to do anything, I could be in real serious trouble on Monday because instead of hitting the ground running on Monday, now I'm like trying to do what I should have been doing the last 2 days, and now I've wasted probably 50% of my Monday.
We have all done that from one time or another. But, and again, it could, and this is what a coach is helpful for too, because it can help you identify why you keep doing that. Why do you sabotage yourself? What is causing you to be stuck where you're not able to adjust to these changes in your life?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel sometimes it is these things that we said before,
The time wasters.
The fear of the unknown, not
Right.
wanting to leave your comfort zone and things like that, needing more certainty. But here are some things continuing on with this.
Yeah.
As far as adjusting to change, he gives a few things that you can do. I think there's five things he said here. The first one is to embrace the changes that you're making. In other words, and this is the way I look at it. The scripture tells us, commit your works to the Lord and he'll establish your plans.
Right.
You want to make a commitment. Commitment is so underrated.
Mm-hmm.
I believe if we make a commitment to something, it really is God's burden to make it happen for us. In other words, we still work with him, but he has to he opens the doors no one can open, closes the doors no one can close, makes opportunities where we couldn't have done it ourselves. And so commitment, I think, is very important to embrace change.
Yeah, I mean, when we make that commitment, our mind works at a frequency that is in alignment with God's purpose for us. And when you're on that same frequency with his will, then he can make things happen that,
Right.
ordinarily
Absolutely.
wouldn't. So, I always know that if I spend extra time in prayer and meditating over a certain situation, the answers come.
Right. And the other one is identify your support system. Marc had mentioned this before, is who's around you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just it is who's around you, but it's now identifying them as who are my greatest supports. When I'm trying to accomplish something, who's there for me? Who's the one that I can count on? Who's the one that's 110% there? And I know that whatever I ask them, it's going to be easier to work with them.
Right.
Who is that?
Yeah, you don't have to worry about if they're on board. You know they're on board, and they're going to work with you.
Yeah. Who's there for you?
Excuse me.
The other one is maintaining kind of consistent processes, having systems in place, processes, patterns, ways of doing things
That's a key. I'm glad you said systems because no matter what you're doing, if you don't have systems in place to get them done, I mean, it's just helter-skelter all over the place,
Right.
and you lose time because now you're scrambling instead of if you had a system to get things done and a system where you knew certain people on board you had delegated to get things done, and they're getting done, then you're not wasting that time.
And so what Marc and I are talking about now as far as adjusting to changes, a lot of reasons why people can't adjust, what's the title today? Rapidly adjust to changing circumstances is because they don't have these fundamental things in place. Embracing the change and committing, identifying your support system, and knowing who your team or who's there for you.
Right.
Having systems or ways of doing things where you prioritize and have efficient ways of approaching problems.
Right. So that when things come up, you can look at them through the lens of does this fit our model? Does this fit our system?
Yeah.
And if not, is it worth adapting our system? Or if it's not, then we need to move on from it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the key. Another one is having good coping skills.
Mm-hmm.
This is really, a lot of this is attitude.
Right.
And spending that time every day to fill yourself up so you're not so depleted that you are flying out the handle.
That's why personal development is so important.
Absolutely. These are all good reasons.
They all are, but
if you don't have these, you need personal development.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the good coping skills, sometimes there are things that have always worked for you in the past. Look back when you're going through a lot of things and it seems like nothing's working for you. Then you need to go back and say, when did it work for me and why?
Right.
And try to get the nuggets and the lessons from that to bring back into today where you are. It's important to do that. Last but not least is your emotional state. You have to be in a good emotional state. I always say this: you can be mentally tough and emotionally stable.
Mm-hmm.
That's extremely important, because if you are someone that goes up and down and you respond to everything based on how you feel, rather than what you need to do or what you need to focus on.
If everything's an emergency, it's not good. And I know people that do that. Every time a little situation comes up, they get on their high horse and it's a big deal. And then the problem with that is then the people that they need to surround themselves with don't want to be in that atmosphere.
Yep.
It's toxic. And so you need to kind of take a breath and sit back and really analyze what's going on instead of getting, you can get too emotionally involved with a situation.
So true. You can. And that's what we want to avoid. So, there's a lot of things. Ultimately, the answer to everything is personal growth, which includes spiritual growth.
Right.
Really, that's the answer. Is not just mentally and physically doing something, but having a state of being, which is always spiritual, that can complement what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and if you're in that spiritual zone, as I like to call it, if you're in that zone, you are going to be calm of mind. You know that.
Well, that's the only place you get peace.
Right. You do have that peace, and you know things are going to be okay. And it's like, okay, instead of will this work out, it's like, okay, God, how are we going to make this happen? And, when you have that calmness of mind, the answers come. Sometimes we can get so, if we try to do everything on our own, we get frustrated and irritated, and that really blocks you from really doing creative thinking, because now you're blocking that spirit out.
Yeah, and for me, I'm just going to give a brief thing. Of all the things I've been through, tremendous adversity in my life in many ways. And what helps me a lot is not to think too far ahead. The word tells us don't be anxious for tomorrow. Tomorrow has enough problems of its own.
Right.
So I don't worry too much about tomorrow. I can't really do anything about yesterday. And the only reason to look back is if it helps you move forward. So the best thing is today. What can I do today to move me closer and make it a doable thing that moves me closer? Because every time we move ourselves a little bit closer, it builds our confidence a little bit more
and it
for the next
compounds.
thing. And when you continue to do that on a daily basis, it builds a momentum in your life.
Right.
And we've talked about this like a bike, where you start to pedal and it's hard, but then you can coast a little and pedal a little and coast a little. And it gets easier when you become that disciplined person.
Right. Because now you're creating the habits that'll get you there. And I think that's an important concept to think about too. What habits are you in every day? Are your habits moving you forward? are you getting up? Are you meditating? Are you reading? Are you doing the things that are going to, help you grow personally, so that when situations arise, you have that mentality and maturity to be able to handle them, because you've grown as a person and as a leader. Because sometimes you have to grow into a solution,
Right.
if you know what I'm saying.
I do know what you're saying.
And sometimes he gives us obstacles so that we can grow.
Right. Well, Marc, unfortunately, we are out of time. I feel like this was really good. Our encouragement to you is, if you're having a hard time with these things, usually if it's the adjusting to the change that you're having struggle with, this is a really good opportunity for you to reach out and get some coaching, because it's really your state of being, your spiritual state,
Right.
that has to be in place in order for you to move forward and create these daily habits that Marc's talking about.
And what I find when I'm coaching is people have what it takes inside of them already. I just help bring it out.
That's exactly
And
it.
that's what you do as well as a coach.
Exactly, Marc. And I'll tell you, Marc can do this. He can bring you a little bit more peace of mind in forgiveness for yourself when you've not made it.
Yeah, don't beat yourself up.
Yeah.
It's not helpful
Yeah,
at all.
It's not. All right, Marc. Well, why don't you give some contact
Yeah,
information?
sure. They can reach me 603-674-6818 is my phone number, or they can reach me at Marc, that's marc.major@comcast.net.
All right. Thank you so much. For those of you live streaming and those of you still listening, we'll be back after this brief message. Please stay tuned and support those who support us.
Little Leapers and Knowledge Keepers Childcare and Preschool offers learning experiences that give kids a healthy sense of self and meaningful connections to the world around them. We teach children from a positive perspective so they learn healthy conflict resolution and develop character. Owner Jennifer Lever has over 28 years' experience in child development. She's helped children learn to read as young as 18 months. Join our happy place where we make happy happen. Located in Pinardville, bordering Bedford and Manchester. Call today at 603-491-1780.
Hi, I'm Bob Bola, Chief Instructor of Defensive Strategies and anchor of the Personal Safety segment, where we talk about personal protection, situational awareness, and home defense. Tune in every Thursday at 9 a.m. and refuse to be a victim. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Greene.
Well, that concludes today's It's a Wonderful Life. If you want to join us tomorrow, Master Trainer of Defensive Strategies, Bob Bollard, will be here with special guests from U.S. Law Shield. And he's from Defensive Strategies. They're from U.S. Law Shield to help us stay safe, refuse to be a victim. So have a blessed day, and remember, we are in it together.